Captain Da Kim stood at the command center of the Earth Defense Station Alpha, his eyes fixed on the massive display showing Earth's orbital defense network. Red warning lights blinked everywhere, marking the positions of destroyed satellites and defense platforms. 3 months had passed since the Nexus Collective first appeared in the solar system, and humanity was losing badly. "Sir, we've lost contact with the Mars colony," Lieutenant Ji-1 Kang reported, her voice steady despite the terrible news. The last transmission showed their defense grid failing under heavy bombardment. Dag closed his eyes for a moment. 30,000 colonists gone in an instant. He took a deep breath and opened them again. "What about the Jupiter mining stations?" "Gone, sir. All of them." Ji-1's fingers flew across her console. The aliens' quantum weapons cut through their shields like they weren't even there. The door to the command center slid open with a hiss. Dr. Hae-Jin Park rushed in, clutching a tablet. Her lab coat was wrinkled, and dark circles under her eyes showed she hadn't slept in days. "Captain Kim, I need to show you something immediately." Day turned to face the scientist. In the 3 months since the invasion began, Dr. Park had been studying every piece of alien technology they could salvage. "What have you found?" "Look at this data." She held up her tablet, showing complex energy readings. "We've been analyzing the debris from that alien scout ship we managed to shoot down last week. There's something strange about how their quantum drives interact with certain elements." Before she could continue, alarms blared throughout the station. Ji-1's voice cut through the noise. "Multiple hostile signatures detected. The Nexus fleet is moving into attack position." On the main display, dozens of purple dots appeared, representing the alien warships. They moved with terrible grace, their sleek forms defying human understanding of physics. Each ship was at least 3 times the size of Earth's largest vessels. Admiral Sun Lee's face appeared on a side screen. The Supreme Commander of Earth's combined forces looked tired but determined. "Captain Kim, you need to fall back to Earth's surface. We're activating the Omega Protocol. All space assets are to be abandoned." Day felt his heart race. The Omega Protocol meant humanity was giving up space to focus on ground defense. It was a desperate move that would leave Earth vulnerable to orbital bombardment. But something about Dr. Park's discovery nagged at him. "Dr. Park, finish what you were saying. What did you find?" Hae-Jin quickly pulled up more data. "Their quantum drives show unusual fluctuations when exposed to specific radioactive isotopes. The same ones we use in our nuclear arsenal, I think. Their technology doesn't like radiation." Dai interrupted, his mind racing. "Not just any radiation. The particular frequency of decay from our weapons seems to interfere with their quantum field generators. It's like their advanced technology actually has a weakness against our primitive nuclear physics." Day turned back to Admiral Lee's screen. "Sir, requesting permission to try something before we retreat. Dr. Park has found a potential weakness in their defenses." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. "We don't have time for experiments, Captain. Those ships will be in firing range in less than 30 minutes. Sir, what if we could use our nuclear arsenal in a way they won't expect? Not as weapons, but as disruption devices." A new alarm sounded. Ji-1's voice was tense. "Sir, they're launching fighters. Hundreds of them." Day ignored the warning. "Admiral, they expect us to either fire our nukes directly at them or retreat. But what if we created a radioactive field in orbit instead? Dr. Park's data suggests it could disable their quantum technology." Admiral Lee was silent for a moment, considering. Around them, the station hummed with activity as crew members prepared for evacuation. Finally, he spoke. "You have 15 minutes, Captain. If this doesn't work, you get your people out. That's an order." "Understood, sir." Dag turned to his crew. "Ji-1, get me firing solutions for our entire nuclear arsenal. I want them positioned in a sphere around our defense platforms. Dr. Park, we need the exact frequencies that cause the most disruption." Hae-Jin's fingers flew across her tablet. "Calculating now." But Captain, if we're wrong about this, then we'll all be dead anyway. Dai finished. Better to try something than just run. The next 10 minutes were a blur of activity. Nuclear warheads were reprogrammed to detonate in specific patterns. Defense platforms were repositioned. The alien fleet drew closer, their fighters moving in perfect formation. They're starting their attack run, J1 reported. 5 minutes until they reach firing range. Day stood at his command console, watching the tactical display. Everything depended on timing this perfectly. Dr. Park, status. Calculations complete. I've transmitted the optimal detonation sequence to all weapons. The alien fighters were almost in range. Their energy weapons could cut through Earth's best shields in seconds. Behind them, the massive capital ships moved forward like silent predators. 3 minutes to contact. Day took a deep breath. Send the command to all Earth forces. Deploy emergency radiation shields and prepare for electromagnetic pulse. 2 minutes. He could see the alien fighters' weapon systems powering up on his display. Their quantum-based technology gave off distinct energy signatures. Beautiful, deadly, and hopefully about to be useless. 1 minute. All nuclear devices in position, J1 reported. Waiting for your command. The alien fighters were almost in range. Just a few more seconds. Now, Dai ordered. Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of nuclear devices detonated simultaneously. Not in destructive explosions, but in carefully calculated patterns designed to create overlapping fields of specific radioactive particles. The light was blinding even through the station's filtered windows. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The alien fighters continued their approach. Then everything changed. The perfect formation of alien fighters suddenly broke apart. Ships spun wildly, their quantum drive systems failing as they hit the radioactive field. Behind them, the massive capital ship's shields flickered and died. It's working, Hejin shouted, staring at her readings. Their quantum fields are collapsing. All Earth forces, this is Captain Kim. DAB broadcast on all channels. Target the enemy ships with conventional weapons. Their shields are down. Earth's defense platforms came to life, launching salvos of traditional missiles and railgun rounds. The weapons that the aliens had dismissed as primitive now tore through their unprotected hulls. Fighters exploded by the dozens. Capital ships, their quantum technology rendered useless, found themselves vulnerable to the very weapons they had considered obsolete. Admiral, Day reported, trying to keep his voice steady. I think we've found our advantage. On the screen, Admiral Lee allowed himself a small smile. Well done, Captain, but this is just the beginning. They'll adapt to this tactic eventually. Yes, sir. Dai watched as another alien capital ship exploded under Earth's bombardment. But now they know that humanity won't just roll over and die. And that's going to change everything. Around Earth, the battle continued. The Nexus Collective's first wave had been shattered, their technological superiority neutralized by human ingenuity and the willingness to try the unexpected. But this was just the first clash in what would become a much larger war. As Dai Kim watched his crew coordinate the continuing attack, he knew that humanity's refusal to retreat had just changed the course of the war. The real fighting was about to begin, and Earth would face it standing tall. Dr. Park worked at her console, already analyzing new data from the battle. Captain, I'm detecting changes in their quantum signatures. They're trying to adapt already. Good, Day replied. Let them adapt. We'll just have to be ready with something new. He turned to his crew. This is what humanity does best. We adapt, we improvise, and we never, ever give up. The battle for Earth's orbit continued through the night, but for the first time since the invasion began, humanity fought with hope. They had found a way to hurt the seemingly invincible enemy, and that changed everything. As dawn broke over the Earth below, the remains of the Nexus Collective's first wave retreated to regroup. They had learned a costly lesson. Humanity's primitive technology wasn't primitive at all. It was just different, and different, as they had learned, could be deadly. Captain Da Kim finally allowed himself to sit down, exhausted but satisfied. Ji-1, get me a damage report. Dr. Park, I want every piece of data from this battle analyzed. They'll be back, and next time, they'll be ready for this trick. What will we do then, sir? Ji-1 asked. Day smiled. We'll come up with something new. That's what humans do. We adapt, we survive, and we fight back. And now, they know it too. The real war was just beginning, but humanity had shown it wouldn't go quietly. Sometimes, refusing to retreat was the best strategy of all. Lieutenant Ji-1 Kang hadn't slept in 36 hours, but she couldn't rest now. Not when they finally had a chance to fight back. She stood in the battle planning room of Earth Defense Station Alpha, surrounded by holograms showing orbital positions and weapon placements. The Nexus Collective is regrouping near Saturn, she reported to the assembled officers. Our long-range scanners show they're reinforcing their quantum shields. Colonel Ta Park, commander of Earth's Special Operations, stepped forward. His black uniform was crisp despite the chaos of recent battles. How long until they attack again? 2 days at most, Ji-1 answered. They're angry now. We destroyed 32 of their ships. Dr. Yan Choi, the quantum physics expert who had been called in to work with Dr. Park, spoke up from her workstation, and they'll have adapted to our radiation trick by then. We need something new. Captain Da Kim entered the room, followed by Dr. Hae-Jin Park. Both looked tired but determined. Then we'll give them something new, Daz said. Dr. Choi, what have you learned from the battle data? Yan pulled up a complex diagram showing energy patterns. Their quantum shields now adjust to radiation frequencies in seconds. But she smiled slightly. They can only adjust to one frequency at a time. Explain it simply, Colonel Park requested. Think of it like tuning a radio, Yan said. They can tune out our interference, but only one station at a time. If we broadcast on multiple frequencies, they can't block them all. Ji-1 finished, understanding dawning on her face. Exactly. Yan pointed to another diagram. And thanks to Dr. Park's research, we know their quantum drives have to maintain stable fields to work. If we can disrupt those fields even for a few seconds. Captain Kim nodded. Their ships become vulnerable again. But we'll need more than just a few nuclear devices this time. We need to fill space with radiation they can't adapt to. Colonel Park frowned. We don't have enough warheads for that kind of coverage. No, Dr. Park said, stepping forward. But we have something better. She pulled up an image of Earth's old orbital defense satellites. We have hundreds of these in storage. The ones we replaced with newer models 5 years ago. The old satellites? Ji-1 asked. But they're outdated. They're perfect, Dr. Park said. We can modify them to release controlled bursts of radiation at different frequencies, like having hundreds of radio towers in space, each broadcasting on a different channel. Captain Kim's eyes lit up. And the Nexus Collective won't expect it. They'll be looking for nuclear weapons, not old satellites. Colonel Park was already at a console, checking inventories. We have 843 old satellites in storage bunkers. How many do we need? As many as we can get, Dr. Choi answered. The more frequencies we broadcast, the harder it will be for them to adapt. But we'll need to position them perfectly, Ji-1 added. She moved to the tactical display, studying orbital paths. If we place them wrong, they'll just shoot them down before they can activate. That's where you come in, Colonel, Captain Kim said to Ta. We need your special ops teams to help deploy these satellites secretly. Can your people handle space operations? Colonel Park smiled for the first time. My teams train for everything, Captain. We can have deployment squads ready in 6 hours. Good. Captain Kim turned to the others. Dr. Park, Dr. Choi, you have 12 hours to modify as many satellites as you can. Ji-1, work with Colonel Park's teams on deployment patterns. We need these satellites in position before the Nexus fleet returns. The next day and a half was a blur of activity. Special operations teams worked in shifts, using stealth shuttles to position modified satellites in a complex web around Earth. Each satellite was powered down, waiting for the signal to activate. HFY coordinated from the command center, tracking each team's progress. Satellite Cluster 7 is in position, she reported. 8 more clusters to go. Dr. Choi worked nearby, monitoring the quantum field readings from the approaching Nexus fleet. They're definitely scanning for nuclear signatures. They have no idea what we're really planning. The hours ticked by. More satellites were positioned. The Nexus fleet drew closer. Enemy fleet approaching Jupiter's orbit, HFY announced. Their formation is different this time. They're spreading out to minimize radiation exposure. Good, Captain Kim said. They're fighting the last battle. Status of our satellite network. Final cluster just reached position. Colonel Park reported from his command ship. All teams returning to safe positions. Dr. Choi. Dr. Park. Satellite modifications are complete. Dr. Park answered. Each one is programmed with a unique radiation frequency. And I've calculated the activation sequence. Dr. Choi added. We'll need perfect timing to achieve maximum disruption. The Nexus fleet entered the inner solar system. Their ships moved more cautiously now, scanning constantly for nuclear threats. Their new formations were perfect for avoiding the kind of trap that had worked before. But humanity wasn't playing the same game anymore. Enemy fleet passing Mars orbit, HFY reported. They'll be in range in 20 minutes. Captain Kim opened a channel to all Earth forces. All ships and stations, prepare for defensive operations. Remember, we need to keep their attention on us, not on the satellite network. The minutes ticked by slowly. HFY watched as the massive alien ships approached, their quantum shields glowing with power. They were ready for anything humanity had thrown at them before. 10 minutes to weapon range. Dr. Choi's fingers flew across her console, making final adjustments to the activation sequence. Radiation frequencies locked in. Ready on your command. 5 minutes. Colonel Park's voice came over the comm. All special ops teams are clear, ready to assist with cleanup. 3 minutes. The Nexus fleet's front line began powering up weapons. They expected Earth's forces to try the same trick again. Their ships were positioned to avoid nuclear detonations while maintaining clear firing lines. 1 minute. Captain Kim took a deep breath. Dr. Choi, begin the sequence. Across Earth orbit, hundreds of dormant satellites suddenly came to life. Each one began broadcasting radiation on a different frequency, creating a web of energy that the Nexus ships couldn't adapt to fast enough. The effect was immediate and devastating. Quantum shields flickered and failed. Drive systems went dark. The perfectly organized fleet suddenly became a mass of drifting metal. Multiple shield failures detected. HFY reported, excitement in her voice. Their entire front line is vulnerable. All Earth forces, open fire, Captain Kim ordered. Concentrate on their command ships first. The space around Earth lit up with weapons fire. Rail guns and missiles struck the helpless Nexus ships. Some alien vessels managed to restore partial shields, only to lose them again as the satellites shifted frequencies. It's working even better than we hoped, Dr. Choi said, watching her readings. Their quantum field generators are burning out from trying to adapt too quickly. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it was over, the mighty Nexus fleet was in ruins. The few ships that could still move were retreating at sublight speeds, their quantum drives useless. Status report, Captain Kim requested. 47 enemy capital ships destroyed, HFY reported. 23 heavily damaged and retreating. We lost 12 satellites to enemy fire, but the network is still functioning at 98% capacity. Colonel Park's image appeared on the main screen. My teams are moving to capture disabled enemy vessels. We're already finding valuable technology we can study. Dr. Park and Dr. Choi were already analyzing new data. Their quantum field generators are completely burned out, Dr. Choi reported. They'll need extensive repairs before they can return. More importantly, Dr. Park added, they know we can counter their best technology with our primitive methods. This changes the whole war. Captain Kim nodded. They'll be back, probably with something new. But now they know that humanity isn't helpless. We can fight back. We can win. Jaiwan looked at the tactical display, where the retreating Nexus ships were marked in red. What do you think they'll try next, sir? Something we haven't seen yet, he answered. But that's fine. We'll keep surprising them too. That's what humans do best. As cleanup operations began, the crew of Defense Station Alpha allowed themselves to feel real hope for the first time since the invasion began. They had proved that humanity's greatest strength wasn't advanced technology or powerful weapons. It was the ability to think differently, to use what they had in ways no one expected. The Nexus Collective had come expecting to find primitive beings clinging to outdated technology. Instead, they found equals who refused to play by the expected rules of war. And that was something their advanced technology couldn't counter. The real war was just beginning, but the rules had changed. Humanity had shown it could do more than just survive. It could fight back. It could win. And that changed everything. Major Min Lee stood in the rain, watching as her ground team secured another crashed Nexus ship. The massive alien vessel had come down mostly intact in the Australian outback, its quantum systems completely burned out by Earth's orbital defense network. This was the 5th ship they'd captured in the past week. Status report, she called over her radio, wiping rain from her face. All clear, Major, her team leader responded. No survivors found. The ship's computer core looks intact. Perfect. Min smiled. Each captured ship brought new knowledge, new advantages. Get Dr. Song Kim's tech team in there. I want everything copied before we start taking it apart. At the temporary command post nearby, Dr. Song Kim was already preparing his equipment. The AI specialist had developed new programs to decode alien computer systems, and each ship gave him more data to work with. This is a newer model, he told Min as she approached. See the hull design. They're already trying to adapt to our tactics. Can they protect against our radiation network? Min asked. Song shook his head. Not yet, but they're learning. Each ship we examine shows new modifications. They're trying to find a way around our defenses. Before Min could respond, her radio crackled. Major Lee, we need you at Command Post 2 immediately. Min and Song exchanged looks before hurrying through the rain to the second command post. Inside, Commander Du Young Cho was waiting. The space station defense director had flown in from orbit specifically to see this ship. Look at this, Du Young said without preamble, pointing to a screen showing sensor readings. The quantum field generator in this ship is different. They've started using biological components. Biological. Min leaned closer to the screen. You mean living tissue. Some kind of engineered organisms that can process quantum energy, Song explained, studying the data. They're trying to copy how Earth life handles radiation, adapting like we do. How close are they to making it work? Min asked. Not very, Du Young answered. But the fact that they're trying. They're learning from us, studying how Earth life survives radiation. We need to move faster. Min nodded. The Nexus Collective was adapting more quickly than anyone had expected. What do you need from my teams? Everything, Song said. Every piece of their technology, every bit of data. I'm developing an AI system to predict how they'll adapt next, but I need more information. You'll get it, Min promised. She turned to Du Young. How are the space station modifications coming? Commander Cho brought up new images showing Earth's civilian space stations. They were being transformed into military platforms using captured alien technology. Progress is good. We've already installed hybrid shield systems on 3 stations. They use both quantum and traditional defenses now. The aliens won't expect that, Min said with satisfaction. They think we're just using our old technology against them. They don't realize we're learning to use theirs too. A new alert sounded. One of Min's team leaders called in. Major, we found something in the ship's medical bay. Some kind of biological sample storage. It's still active. Min was already moving. Secure it and wait for us. Don't touch anything until we get there. She looked at Song. Doctor, you're with me. Commander Cho, can you coordinate with headquarters? They'll want to know about this. They hurried through the rain to the crashed ship. Inside the alien vessel, the medical bay glowed with soft blue light from dozens of containment units. Each one held different biological samples. This is incredible, Song breathed, scanning the units with his equipment. They're not just studying Earth life. They're trying to merge it with their technology. Can they do that? Min asked. Not yet, Song answered. But this shows how they think. When they can't beat something, they try to understand it and use it. Just like us. Commander Cho's voice came over the radio. Major Lee, headquarters is sending a secure transport for those samples. And there's something else. Our deep space sensors just picked up activity near Neptune. Min felt her heart rate increase. The Nexus fleet. Yes, but they're not approaching yet. They're building something. Some kind of massive structure. Song looked up from his scans. They're preparing for a real war now. No more quick victories. They know they're fighting equals. Min nodded. Then we need to be ready. How soon can your AI system be operational? With this new data? Song considered. 2 weeks, maybe less. But Major, there's something else we should try. He pulled up a diagram on his tablet. These biological components they're using, we might be able to create our own version. Something that works with our physics instead of against it. You want to make hybrid technology too? Min asked. Why not? They're learning from us. We should learn from them. Commander Cho's voice came back. Major, headquarters agrees. You and Dr. Kim are being reassigned to Project Synthesis. They want you to combine what we know about radiation survival with Nexus quantum technology. Min looked around the alien medical bay, then at the rain-soaked Australian landscape visible through the ship's broken hull. 2 different worlds. 2 different approaches to technology. Maybe the answer was combining them. Dr. Kim, gather everything you need from this ship. Commander Cho, I want all biological samples transferred to the new research facility under Sydney. It's time we showed the Nexus Collective that humans can do more than just defend. Over the next few weeks, research teams worked around the clock. Som's AI system learned to predict Nexus tactical patterns while also helping design new hybrid technologies. Min's teams captured 3 more crashed ships, each one providing new insights. In orbit, Commander Cho oversaw the transformation of Earth's space stations. The new hybrid shields proved more effective than either pure human or pure Nexus technology. Earth's defenders were evolving, becoming something new. They're still building near Neptune. Du Young reported during one strategy meeting. Our best guess is some kind of massive quantum amplifier. They're preparing for a major attack. Let them come, Min said, looking at the latest test results from their hybrid technology experiments. We'll be ready. Som's AI had detected patterns in Nexus communications. They're confused, he explained. Their reports show they've never encountered a species that adapts this quickly. We're not following their normal pattern of technological development. Because we're doing it our way, Min said. Using everything we have. Old and new, Earth and alien. Creating something they've never seen before. The captured ships in the Australian desert were slowly taken apart, their technology studied and improved upon. Earth's scientists learned to combine radiation-resistant biology with quantum physics. New weapons were developed that could switch between traditional and quantum attacks. Commander Cho's space stations became more than just defensive platforms. They were now technological testing grounds, proving that humanity could master any technology it encountered. The Nexus fleet is still growing near Neptune. Du Young reported 1 month after the last battle. But they're watching us. Their scouts have seen our modifications, Our hybrid technology. They know the next battle will be different. Good, Min said, watching as another hybrid shield generator was tested. Let them see what humanity can do when we're pushed. We don't just copy technology, we improve it. Song's AI system had grown more sophisticated, learning to predict not just Nexus tactics but their technological development. They're struggling with the same problems we solved, he reported. Their pure quantum technology can't handle radiation as well as our hybrid systems. Because they're still thinking in terms of either or, Min realized. Either quantum or traditional. They don't see how combining them makes both stronger. Earth's preparations continued. Each day brought new developments, new combinations of human and alien technology. The captured ships in the desert were stripped down to their last components. Every piece studied and improved upon. Commander Cho's space stations were now more powerful than the original Nexus ships had been. We're ready for them, he reported. Whatever they're building near Neptune, we can match it. Min stood in the Australian dawn, watching her teams install another hybrid generator. The rain had stopped, and the desert was coming alive with morning activity. Human engineers worked alongside captured alien technology, creating something new. They thought we were primitive, she said to Song, who was monitoring the installation. They expected us to either surrender or die. Instead, we learned, Song replied. And we taught them something too. About adaptation, about survival, about humanity, Min added. We don't just survive. We grow stronger from every challenge. The sun rose higher, casting long shadows from the crashed Nexus ships. Once they had seemed impossibly advanced. Now they were just raw material for humanity's next step forward. The real war was coming. The Nexus Collective was building its ultimate weapon near Neptune, preparing for a battle that would decide everything. But Earth was ready. Humanity had refused to retreat, refused to submit, refused to stay primitive. Instead, they had taken the best of both worlds and created something new, something that would change the galaxy forever. The next battle would prove once and for all that humanity belonged among the stars. Not as conquerors, not as victims, but as innovators who could face any challenge and emerge stronger. The war's true turning point was approaching. And this time, Earth would be the one teaching lessons about advanced technology. General Han Park stood at the main window of Earth Defense Command, looking up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, near Neptune, the Nexus Collective was finishing their ultimate weapon. After 3 months of preparation, both sides were ready for the final battle. General, the fleet is in position, Captain Su Kim reported from her station. Her experimental fleet of hybrid vessels represented humanity's best technology, a perfect blend of Earth engineering and adapted alien systems. What's the status of their quantum amplifier? Han asked, turning from the window. Dr. Jun Lee, head of xenobiology research, pulled up the latest scans. It's massive, bigger than anything they've built before. But our hybrid sensors can see its weaknesses. They still haven't solved their radiation problem completely. The massive screen showed the Nexus construction, a structure larger than Earth's moon, designed to amplify quantum fields to unprecedented levels. They meant to overwhelm Earth's defenses with pure power. They're still thinking like conquerors, Han said. They believe bigger is always better. That's their mistake, Su replied. Our smaller ships are faster, more adaptable, and our crews understand both technologies now. We can switch between quantum and traditional systems instantly. Dr. Jun nodded in agreement. The biological components we developed work better than theirs. Earth life evolved to handle radiation. We just helped it work with quantum fields too. New alerts flashed across the screens. Su straightened in her chair. General, they're moving. The quantum amplifier is powering up, and their main fleet is approaching. Han took his command position. Show me their formation. The tactical display revealed thousands of Nexus ships escorting their massive weapon. They moved with perfect precision, their formation designed to protect the amplifier. All Earth forces, this is General Park. Han broadcast to every ship and station. The enemy thinks they know what we're capable of. They think they've learned all our tricks. Today, we prove them wrong. He turned to Sue. Captain Kim, deploy your fleet. Show them what humanity's hybrid ships can do. Sue's experimental fleet moved out from behind Earth's moon. 50 ships, each one containing the best of both human and Nexus technology. They looked strange, not quite Earth design, not quite alien. Something entirely new. The Nexus fleet detected them immediately. Their first waves moved to intercept, quantum weapons powering up. They're scanning us, Sue reported, trying to figure out what they're looking at. Let them look, Han said. Dr. Lee, status of our biological quantum cores. Operating perfectly, Jun answered. The engineered cells are processing quantum energy better than pure technology ever could. Natural and artificial working together. The first shots were fired. Nexus ships launched quantum beams at Sue's fleet, but the hybrid vessels shifted, their systems switching between traditional shields and quantum defenses faster than the aliens could adjust. First wave of enemy ships pulling back, Sue reported with satisfaction. They can't get through our shifting defenses. But the quantum amplifier was still coming. Its power readings were off the scale, building to levels that could tear through anything, hybrid or traditional. All ships execute pattern Delta, Han ordered. This was the moment they'd prepared for. Sue's fleet split into 5 groups, each taking position around Earth. Other human vessels emerged from hiding, revealing hundreds of ships equipped with the latest hybrid technology. Pattern Delta ready, Sue confirmed, waiting for your command. The quantum amplifier moved into firing position. Its energy readings peaked, ready to release enough power to crack a planet. Now, Han ordered. Every human ship activated their hybrid cores simultaneously, but they didn't fire weapons. Instead, they created something the Nexus Collective had never seen before. A living quantum field. The engineered biological components in each ship linked together, creating a network that acted like a single giant organism. It adapted to the quantum amplifier's energy in real time, not just blocking it, but absorbing it. It's working, Jun exclaimed, watching his readings. The biological network is processing their energy faster than they can produce it. The quantum amplifier fired, releasing its full power. For a moment, the space around Earth lit up brighter than the sun. Everyone watched, holding their breath. When the light faded, Earth was untouched. The living quantum field had absorbed everything, growing stronger from the attack. Send them the message, Han ordered. Sue opened a channel to the Nexus fleet. The message was simple, broadcast in their own language. This is how Earth fights. Not with size, but with adaptation. Not with pure power, but with understanding. Your weapon made us stronger. What else would you like to try? For long moments, there was silence. The Nexus fleet hung in space, their ultimate weapon now useless. Finally, a response came. The alien transmission showed a being that looked nothing like a human, but its message was clear. You are not what we expected. No, Han replied. We're what we needed to be. And now you have a choice. Keep fighting a war you can't win, or talk to us as equals. Another pause. The alien spoke again. You use our technology in ways we never imagined. You combine it with biology, with radiation, with your own systems. How? Because that's what humanity does, Han explained. We don't just copy. We learn, we adapt, we improve. And we're willing to share what we've learned, if you're willing to learn too. The quantum amplifier powered down. The Nexus fleet's weapons went dark. Their commander spoke one last time. Perhaps we have much to learn from each other. General, Sue reported, they're requesting permission to send a diplomatic vessel. No weapons, no quantum technology. They want to talk. Han smiled. Tell them we accept. And Captain, keep our hybrid fleet ready, just in case. The next few hours were tense but peaceful. The Nexus fleet withdrew to a safe distance while their diplomatic ship approached Earth. For the first time, humans and aliens would meet as equals. "They're scanning our hybrid technology," Jun reported as the alien ship approached. "Their scientists are excited. They've never seen anything like it." "Of course not," Han said. "They've always developed their technology in one direction only. We showed them there are other paths." Sue watched the diplomatic vessel dock with the space station. "Do you think they'll keep their word? Actually work with us instead of trying to conquer us?" "They don't have a choice," Han replied. "We proved we can counter anything they throw at us. But more importantly, we proved we can do things they can't. They want to learn from us as much as we want to learn from them." The first peace talks began that day. The Nexus Collective, who had come to Earth expecting to find primitives, instead found teachers. Their quantum technology was advanced, but humanity's ability to adapt and combine technologies was something new in the galaxy. General Han Park watched it all from his command center, remembering how it started. One simple decision, refusing to retreat when all seemed lost. That choice had revealed humanity's greatest strength, the ability to learn, to grow, to become something new when faced with challenges. The war was over, but humanity's journey was just beginning. They had earned their place among the stars not through superior technology or greater numbers, but through their unique ability to adapt and improve. As the sun rose over Earth the next morning, Han looked at the hybrid ships in orbit, the combined human-alien technology that had saved their world, and smiled. Sometimes, standing your ground led to things greater than victory. It led to evolution.